Most people think they can spot a genius in a room. They picture someone talking fast, quoting obscure facts, solving problems out loud like they're in a movie. But here's the truth, and it might genuinely surprise you. The most intelligent people you'll ever meet rarely look intelligent at first. In fact, some of their most common habits look like the complete opposite of intelligence. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and what they found isn't what anyone expected. So let's talk about it. Because by the end of this, you're going to look at some very ordinary behavior, maybe even your own, completely differently. Number 1. They disappear. Not literally, but people with extremely high IQs spend unusual amounts of time alone, and they actually prefer it. Now, the easy assumption is that they're antisocial, awkward, struggling to connect. Wrong. Researchers from the London School of Economics found something fascinating. The higher someone's IQ, the less satisfied they feel from frequent social interaction. Their brains are already running complex internal conversations, ideas bouncing around, patterns forming, questions stacking on questions. Constant social noise interrupts that process. For a highly intelligent mind, solitude isn't loneliness, it's fuel. Number 2. They ask questions that make you uncomfortable. Not because they're being difficult, because they genuinely can't stop. Why does this system work this way? Who decided that? What happens if you flip this assumption on its head? To an outsider, it can look like skepticism, or arrogance, or just being annoying at dinner. But what's actually happening is that their brain is running a constant background search, scanning everything for gaps, inconsistencies, hidden patterns. Curiosity isn't a hobby for them. It's closer to breathing. Number 3. They talk to themselves. Go ahead and laugh. But stop, because psychology is about to defend them. Self-directed speech, as it's formally called, is a real cognitive tool. Studies show it sharpens focus, strengthens working memory, and helps the brain organize complex information in real time. When a highly intelligent person quietly narrates their own thinking, they're not losing it. They're using their brain at full capacity. That quiet muttering you've been judging? It might be a sign of an extremely active mind at work. Number 4. They say, "I don't know," more than anyone else in the room. This one trips people up every time. You'd think someone with a high IQ would be the most confident person speaking, but it's often the opposite. Here's why. The smarter someone is, the more clearly they see just how much they don't know. They understand that every answer opens 3 more questions, that most things are more complicated than they appear. There's a well-known psychological principle behind this, the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with less knowledge tend to overestimate how much they understand. People with more knowledge tend to do the opposite. So the person confidently declaring they know exactly how something works may know far less than the one who says, "I'm not sure, let me think about that." Number 5. They overthink things you forgot in 30 seconds. An offhand comment you made at lunch. A decision you made impulsively. A moment most people let pass without blinking. A high IQ brain is still processing it hours later. This looks like anxiety, or indecision, or oversensitivity. But internally, what's actually happening is a mind running through multiple mental models simultaneously, weighing outcomes, testing scenarios, looking for a conclusion that actually holds up under scrutiny. It's not weakness. It's a brain that genuinely can't settle for a shallow answer. Number 6. They're funnier than you expect. Real humor, the kind that makes a room actually erupt, requires serious cognitive work. Your brain has to recognize a pattern, break an expectation, and connect 2 completely unrelated ideas in a single moment. That's not simple. That's a controlled cognitive collision. Intelligence research journals have found a measurable link between higher IQ and advanced humor processing. The sharp, unexpected joke that seems to come from nowhere? That's a fast-moving, highly flexible mind doing what it does naturally. Number 7. They change their minds publicly, without embarrassment. Most people treat their opinions like identity. Changing your mind feels like losing. Highly intelligent people don't operate that way. They treat beliefs as working models, useful until better information comes along. When the evidence shifts, the model updates. That's not weakness or inconsistency. In cognitive psychology, it's called cognitive flexibility, and it's one of the strongest markers of advanced problem-solving ability. The person who never changes their mind isn't being strong, they're being rigid. The person who updates their thinking when the facts change, That's someone whose brain is actually doing its job. Number 8. They come alive at night. There's a consistent pattern researchers keep finding. People with higher cognitive flexibility are more likely to be night owls. Some evolutionary psychologists argue this makes sense. Adapting away from the standard sleep pattern, choosing to operate on a different schedule than everyone else, reflects a brain that doesn't default to convention. A brain that rewrites its own rules. So if you do your best thinking at 1 a.m. when the world is quiet, that's not a bad habit. That might just be your brain operating at its natural peak. Number 9. They watch before they speak. Put a highly intelligent person in a group conversation, and they often go quiet at first. They're not disengaged. They're gathering data, reading the emotional dynamics in the room, watching what people reveal about themselves before anyone realizes they're being observed. When they finally speak, it tends to land differently. Because they're not reacting, they're responding. There's a difference. And it comes from a brain wired for pattern recognition, including the patterns in human behavior. Number 10. They carry a question no one else seems to notice. Not a dramatic, philosophical question they announce at parties. Just a quiet one that lives in the background. Why do people actually behave this way? What's really going on underneath all of this? High intelligence often comes with a heightened awareness of how complex everything really is. Society, relationships, the stories people tell themselves. And that awareness tends to produce a persistent search for something deeper than the surface explanation. It's not always comfortable to live with, but it's exactly the kind of mind that pushes understanding forward. Here's what's worth sitting with. We've been trained to recognize intelligence in very specific ways: fast answers, loud confidence, impressive-sounding facts. But the research keeps pointing somewhere else entirely. Solitude, curiosity, self-doubt, flexibility, observation. These are the quiet fingerprints of a mind that never fully stops moving. And the most interesting part? You probably know someone who fits this picture. Maybe you've misread them for years. Or maybe it's been you all along.